Greetings, everyone. I am Shrishti Singh from Skills Rediscovery. Today, we have with us Mr. Parmanand Dange, who is the Associate Professor and Head of Department of Chemical Engineering, AIS SMS College of Engineering, Pune. Welcome, sir. So, please tell us about yourself.
So thank you, Srusti, calling me for this session. So to start with, actually, I come from a village which is around 120 kilometer from Nagpur. I had my schooling, primary schooling at village itself, then up to 10th, little bigger town, 3 kilometers away from my village. And after 10th, I moved to Nagpur for post SSC education. I studied there for my 12th standard. Thereafter, I joined Lakshminarayan Institute of Technology, which is one of the premier institutes for chemical engineering education. And then after completing my graduation in the year 1998, I started my career in chemical engineering. So initially I worked for academic institution first. Then I prepared myself for other examinations like BARC, DRDO, Department of Atomic Energy, ONGC, IOC, including GATE also. So probably if GATE is known to majority. So while being in service only, I prepared for those examinations. Initially, probably I did not get the success, maybe for 6 months or so. Afterwards, I started getting calls and clearing the examination. After that, calls actually began to come in. So my first break in industry was at Ordnance Factories Board. So that examination actually is conducted by UPSC. And after conducting that recruitment process, so they actually send it to respective locations like Ordnance Factories Board training centers are there. So I joined Ordnance Factories Board, underwent training for about 6 months, and then I got posting at Ordnance Factory Bhandara. So probably challenges, questions will be there. So I do not elaborate here with what challenges probably I did face. So while being there at Ordnance Factory Bhandara, I worked there for about 1.5 years. And I kept appearing for examination, even though I did not have to do, because it was a good position. It was a fairly promising career there. But still, after spending about 1 year there, I got call from IGCAR Kalpakkam. IGCAR Kalpakkam is the Department of Atomic Energy Unit, which is actually engaged in research and development. So then probably I compared these two things, Ordnance Factory Board and Department of Atomic Energy. And probably eventually I made my decision to quit this and join this IGCAR Kalpakkam. So then this is journey actually. So I have got around 20 years of experience. Then I can say out of that 2 hours, pardon me actually, these 2 years I spent at IIT Kharagpur for my upgradation. And then I again moved to a couple of chemical companies, and eventually I quit all those and joined this Pune-based engineering college, what you just now pronounced. So you can ask intermittently any questions if you feel. You can interrupt.
So, that is a very inspiring journey of yours. So, tell us something about the challenges you faced in this journey. You were about to tell us about.
Yeah. So Life is full of challenges. Everybody knows that, right from a school education to a college education, and then at the startup job, and thereafter also. So I did also face challenges. So since I told you, I'm having village background, and normally the education there is in vernacular language, that is mother tongue. And when you come from that background and eventually take up like science education and thereafter engineering or medical, so the problem is normally the transition from this local language to the accepted language of instruction. So definitely for everybody who is coming from this background, they will initially face this challenge. And if it is taken care in precise way, so probably by the end of the graduation, you'll be in a position to talk effectively, speak effectively, write effectively in English language. And that is what happened with me also. But for that, you need to do many things. Okay, so this first challenge I'm telling you about, there are many more challenges probably when we start career. So this English language problem, that can be circumvented or that can be surpassed by following a certain methods like reading books, reading novels, reading newspaper, then listening to TV, especially news that is also in English, increase your vocabulary. So that was the biggest challenge actually, because when I came for 11th standard, so many people, they could speak in class. Probably I could not do that, even though probably I had understanding. So but that happens for most of us who come from the village background. So when we come to the early days of our career, so definitely spending 4 years is not everything. Okay, so we just master our fundamentals at the maximum possible extent. All right, but probably as is known nowadays, it is skill-based things what industry expect. Okay, so in our times also, when I passed out in the year 1998, we had focused on studies only. Okay, so there were no mobiles, there were no computers, we were simply relying on books. So definitely the other skills which are needed for the industry entrance or industry jobs, so probably they were missing in most of we also, those who probably they were very worse in language, sports, cultural activities, probably they could do it really well, and they did not find any problem in landing jobs at campus. So, but after final year, probably I did not have any problem. I was having confidence. I was able to speak, write, and communicate with people. I did have my grip on fundamentals also. So eventually, I did not face probably entry into industry or job. Okay. So then afterwards also you have problem, because industry is massive organization. Okay, so there are several sections, several units spread over different locations, inventory of products. So you cannot actually be confident at the starting point itself. So you need to work really hard to get acceptance by people. And definitely if you are persistent, if you are diligent, and if you are probably honest about your job, so probably we get acceptance, we can have our say. So these are the kind of problems I faced, or everybody who will be entering industry, they will be facing such problems. had there. Then other problems probably like we are away from family, so different location, different probably work culture, they are there. Then we have spare time, how to spend it, whether we should spend it positively or negatively. So it is depend on one's mind. Then probably you had free will when you study even up to the graduation or post graduation, because you have probably that casual approach. Means majority times you have ample time apart from your classes and practicals, so you can actually spend that time leisurely. You don't have any accountability there. But once you land in industry, so accountability comes first, and dispensing your duties. Okay, so that becomes of paramount importance there. There is no excuse for that. Okay, and there won't be forgiveness for that also if the negligence is of that nature. Okay, so these are kind of problems. So everybody will face. They were there then, they will be hereafter also.
Sir, the way you face your challenges and surpass them all, it is commendable. Sir, tell us more about your institute and what it offers for the students.
Okay. So to tell about my institute name is AISSMS College of Engineering, and it was started in the year 1992. And it has got legacy actually. Means the institute who started this, it comes under the society AISSMS. So I'll tell you the full form, that is All India Sri Shivaji Memorial Society. So it was set up by great visionary, probably if you hear his name, Rajarshi Sri Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj of Kolhapur. So he was great visionary. So in the year 1917, actually, he formed this society to impart quality education for all strata of society. And this education spectrum is right from military school, then this engineering education is there, then hotel management and catering technology, that education is there, even pharmacy education is there under the spectrum of this. So our college, AISSMS College of Engineering, so it is offering 8 undergraduate courses, 7 postgraduate courses, 3 PhD research centers, research programs. It has so 8 branches. You can name it. It is chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, production engineering, then electrical engineering, electronics and telecommunication engineering, computer engineering, civil engineering. Then there is sandwich pattern, mechanical sandwich engineering, and production sandwich engineering. So these are all branches, mostly the conventional branches. So it is offering education there. It has got recognition in terms of awards or awarding upgrades, certifications from various agencies like NAC. There is national body. It has awarded accreditation of A+ grade, which is second highest, next to A++. Okay, it is rare feat for many institutions, so we could actually get that. Any more information you want about the college?
That's it, sir. Thank you once again. So, what is the future of the skill or the subject that you are teaching through your channel?
So this is because future is dependent on skills only. So if I am perceiving your question rightly, so you asked about the skills only, correct? So these skills, they are needed at this point at the highest level. Earlier, probably for getting jobs, it was your academic performance in the form of grades or marks. They were considered, and probably people looked or employers looked uh, at your skills probably uh, at secondary level. But nowadays, because of this changed world, because of this global competition, so skills are at center stage, whether it is professional education, whether it is other education, or even for school education also, it is the acquisition of skills, whether it is in sports, culture, or other activities. So here in our department, we impart education in chemical engineering. So definitely for chemical engineer or prospective chemical engineer, so when he passes out of the department, what should he have? So he should have actually grip on his fundamentals anywhere. So I'm talking about chemical engineering, but for that matter, in general, any engineering graduate, he needs to have complete uh, grip on the fundamentals. Then he needs effective communication nowadays, and that is there inside curriculum or it is in the syllabus itself. Okay, only thing is that implementation part and probably the learning part on the part of students. So these are two things. Apart from that, what is needed is you should have ample knowledge of software and its applications. Software means like we use a couple of softwares, like there is ANSYS software there is Unisim software, MATLAB software is there. So these are actually the softwares which needs to be used by students extensively. So unless you are able to do linking between what you learn in classes and those same concepts which you learn in classes, if you are able to solve by means of software, yes, that is skill. Okay, you can be satisfied with the classroom knowledge, but if you are unable to solve by using latest technologies, then your knowledge probably is constrained there, because nowadays employers, they don't have time. They want people to be recruited on immediate joining basis. They want people before trained, means they are trained before itself, means they don't have time for training. Earlier we used to get training for about 6 months or 1 year. Nowadays people will get just orientation for about 1 month or so, but they don't have time. So this kind of transition from classroom to the actual application, that needs to be linked. And when they spend 4 years, after spending 4 years, they should be actually very well versed with the software that is there. What else is needed? Additional value added courses are there. Like I said, this software. So there are many other courses like process engineering is there. Then there is how to solve practical problems, that is there. So we are doing that in collaboration with industry. We call industry actually. We have MOUs with industry. Then we can have tie-ups with their faculty. Means the persons from industry, they can come down here. They can take subject or couple of subjects, and they tell the problems to be solved which are persisting in industry. So that kind of thing is there. Again, regarding skills, the sports engagement from the student point of view, it should be there. There are cultural events also. So all this is what, there is proper induction of those students to acquire those skills. There are other social programs like NSS is a body which conducts this or connects college with society, maybe rural areas also. So there are plenty of things actually for the students to get connected. There are other student chapters also. Student chapter means it is for the students. Students will vision, student will plan, they will execute, they will actually prepare report. This everything is done by students. So such platforms, they imbibe certain skills in students, and they become fearless, they become confident, and they can actually project themselves for any work which is to be assigned to them.
That's true, sir. Sir, how do you see the new education policy for India? And what education Indian education fraternity should learn from COVID-19?
Yes, actually, this is because I'm no expert probably to talk much on that, but still, what I perceived about this new education policy, just I'll tell few points. Okay, so the biggest advantages I will just point out here. So all those for schools also they have done major provisions, and just before I move on to this technical education, what is the provision in NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020? So I'll just brief out about this skill-based necessity. So probably you are also aware, and majority of people they will be aware that. So they have mandated it to induct students from 6th standard on this skill-based education. Means they will have field visits, they will have some assignments, and they will have small projects also. So to really permeate this sense of skills from that age onwards, because this century is going to be skill-based. All right. So now coming back to this technical education, what provision probably this NEP has made. So there are multiple entry and exit points for students actually. If somebody takes admission in professional courses or even other courses also, since I am connected with professional course, so probably I will be speaking in the context of professional courses. So there is flexibility, means one can take admission in and if he feels after 1 year that no, I can switch over to some other program, so after 1 year he can leave that, so he might not get the degree, but he can still get a certificate for that 1 year. If he spends couple of years, probably he will get a diploma course. If he spends 3 years, he will get degree. So likewise this flexibility is there. And then when he completes 4 years, probably he's a graduate, and if wishes for post-graduation, he can complete post-graduation in 1 year. So probably this is on brighter side for the students. One more advantage from this NEP is that you can have courses done anywhere. Anywhere means like IIT Madras, if somebody wishes to pursue some course there, and if he clears there, so that grades which he obtained there will be counted. He's doing his graduation somewhere else. All right. But if he does this kind of thing, so those credits earned will be again counted for the award of his degree. Means if he has 40 subjects to complete at his institute, maybe 10 subjects he does from outside or elsewhere. So he can, in fact, count those 10 subjects passed in his degree here. So this is second advantage for student. Then there is one more thing. Honors degree concept is there. So probably you might be aware, but that honors degree means you can enroll for one degree, like I'm chemical engineer. Somebody will be doing computer engineering. All right. So while being, if he feels that he can do extra, okay, in 4 years he is going to be a computer engineer, mechanical engineer, whatever branch he is in. Okay, so what happens? This honors degree provision allows him to go for another minor program. Okay, so he can complete a couple of courses or 3 or 4 courses and practical assignments, and if he succeeds there, so he can have 2 degrees. One is major degree and minor degree. Okay, so this is the outcome of this national education policy. Then probably you can think of other things like for institutes there is graded autonomy, means now they are affiliated to universities, so they can have this affiliation go off in decade or so, but eventually every institute, every college, they are going to be independent universities or institutes of higher education. Okay, so they can have their own liberty for finance, liberty for academic planning and subsequent implementation. So there are many other things actually they are there in national education policy. So uh, so there are couple of things which probably worry it, like entry of foreign universities, correct? So entry of foreign universities is there. So in that case, if they start coming here, so definitely it will be detrimental to the existing institutes which are going to be, I think, universities. So unless they probably come up with some standard, and ultimately aim of this NEP is to come up with certain level so that there'll be fierce competition and sustainability of those institutions also. So I think drawbacks, I'll speak something about that. Then online teaching is provisioned there. In national education policy, online teaching is also there. But thing is that we have been doing this online teaching for the past 1 year now. So there are some advantages of that. Then there are lopside of online teaching also. So this is there are many other things like skill-based learning, as I said. So it is also imbibed in national education policy, and it is at the center of the employment also. Then you can have interdisciplinary kind of courses. If somebody is from mechanical, he can do some courses from chemical or environmental or from other streams. So that provision is also there. Means there are many things which can be actually taken to the positive side. So only thing is that this is a big country, a very big country. There are various differences if you compare with rural and urban areas. So thing is that how this will be ensured, how this will be implemented. So probably I will not speak about that. Just I'm pointing out certain uncertainties with how to implement these policies, because in next 15 years, if 2 crore are to be accommodated in higher educational institutes, even around 2 crore students, they are off the schools. So to take them in, actually, we need to have new schools, new infrastructure, new faculty. So those are the things which needs concern. Then funding probably is problem. Then there is presence of government as well as private sector. So affordability, it is again how it will unfold. So that is there. Then again, digital divide, especially the services in rural areas. So they are pretty pathetic. So these are the loopholes probably which are there, which needs to be addressed. Yes, Srishti.
I respect your perspective, sir. Yeah. So, what, according to you, like, what role do you see for a skills-based education in India?
Okay, so I think on a couple of occasions I admitted that they are skill-based only. Okay, so there is no dearth of jobs. There is no shortage of jobs. Okay, so what is probably shortage? Where is the shortage? Shortage is the skilled persons or skilled candidates. That thing is there. Means probably in my life also, I did not face any problem initial can ignore that. But once you actually uh, spend a couple of years in industry or anywhere, so based on that, you can obtain jobs thereafter. But for new entrant, actually, it is the skills, knowledge, and probably his communication. It takes him, or it lands him to the job, new job. Definitely after the initial phase, if he spends few years there, so he will definitely get acquainted with those skills and the knowledge which is go further. But still, there is need of good skilled for any kind of job, and is okay. So for that, what we need complete understanding about his program. Program is his domain. Like if he does MSc biochemistry or MCA, so he needs to have grip on those fundamentals. That is there as a. Apart from that, he needs to have exposure to many softwares which can be used, which will be used in his area of work. So for students, if you probably want me to elaborate on the students which will be needing skills, so they need to spend more time on internships, more time on projects, okay, more time undertaking social projects. Then we can have also active participation in almost every co-curricular activity, extracurricular activity also. So this thing, for students to gain those skills, they need to be active almost in every area. Technical is one thing, but apart from technical, the other qualities which are needed, they need to spend time on those activities. Sport activities, very good activity. So even that will give you agility, that will give you confidence. So all activities, they need to be actually taking part. Okay, then already other skills I have already told you. Communication is there. Then use of softwares, that is also there. Then probably we should also focus on environment and sustainability. So all those things are there. Yes, Srishti.
So that's it. Is there anything else that you want to share on your behalf?
No, considering my work is know probably much about chemical engineering. So probably about general discussion or general trends. So what I perceived, that just I told you.
So thank you for coming, sir. Thank you for your time. We had a great time today.